The Imaginarium is a free flow of ideas, and not all the ideas are going to be appropriate for all ages. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Imaginarium. I'm your host, Scott Colbert, and for those wondering, the Imaginarium is a show about creativity. It's about art and artists, and anyone having a passion for creativity. There's no particular format to Imaginarium other than the free flow of ideas, leaving a limitless amount to talk about that can only be found here in the Imaginarium. And this episode's guest also happens to be one of our first guests on the Supernauts. He's an actor, writer, filmmaker, poet, and the naughtiness behind the Fuck It, Why Bother podcast, Wade Radford. Welcome once again, Wade.
Always a pleasure, Scott.
Oh, I really enjoy having you on. And you were one of our most popular shows on the Supernauts. And now with Twink coming out, or having been out on DVD, I thought it was time to have you come back and talk a little bit more about the craft and the art and what it is that you really try to do with the movies and everything.
Well, I've been looking forward to chatting to you again, Scott. It's always lovely. We had a right laugh last time, so bring it on.
First thing I want to talk about is your partner in crime, who kind of gets a little sidelined sometimes, Jason Impey.
Mm-hmm.
How did you meet Jason, and what is it about the chemistry between you two that makes your film so successful?
I was towards the end of 2011. I'd had an idea knocking around for ages, which turned out to be Sex, Lies and Depravity in the end. And I was just midway through writing it, and I'd been doing a load of other projects non-related to film. I've been a jack of all trades and master of none for years. And I was pissed out of my face in a pub one night, and I met Jason's mum. And was having a drink with her, and she, she'd heard I'd done some documentaries, and because my background is documentaries, not film, and she said, "Oh, my son makes horror films," and when we were talking about my documentaries, and so yeah, she took my email and number, gave it on to Jason because I said I was working on a script. He gave me a ring. We pretty much hit it off on the phone straight away, because I think the thing with me and Jason is we are worlds apart. We are nothing of the same, totally chalk and cheese, which makes our dynamic dynamite. Like, seriously, I love Jason. We have a right laugh together. I think Jason loves his horror films, and we haven't actually got really around to making a horror film because it's not really my bag. So I think it's great that Jason loves these social commentaries as well, because I can't imagine myself making a horror film. They're just not my thing. I just, as you can see from all the films I've released, they're all drama. Love drama. So it's very interesting. I think Jason is my voice of reason in my times when I'm going a little mad on subjects, or getting stressed out with someone. So he's my voice right there, keeps me calm, keeps me chugging along. And I love working with him as well. We know what each other's thinking. Every time we have a cast member that's a complete dickhead, we already know it before we've said it. We just look across the room at each other. But he's a great guy. He's a wonderfully talented cinematographer. And yet again, when it comes down to editing, and I sit in with Jason and put my points across on most of the films. But if it wasn't, for Jason as well, he knows his stuff. He's really technical. He loves his gadgets. He knows all about them. I'd be fucking useless with that stuff. I just recently got a Mac, and tonight I was trying to re-download Skype and find it. So that just shows how useful I am.
What was the first movie that you and Jason made?
Sex, Lies and Depravity.
Sex, Lies and Depravity. And then you made the sequel to Sex, Lies and Depravity after that?
Straight after that, 3 months apart.
How do you manage to make such interesting and provocative work on an absolutely zero budget?
Because I am a defiant cunt. Sorry, I know, I just had to slot that word in there. I know I actually love it, Scott. Um, no, it's I won't let the man with the big pocket um dictate to me what I can and can't do. And I believe I read in a review once that me and Jason don't wait around for someone to give us a budget. And that's true. And I won't wait for anybody. If we've got an idea, we will creatively run for it. If it's a guerrilla film, then so be it. And we will do the best to our ability. Our films are always slightly controversial in the fact that you either love them or absolutely fucking hate them. Either way, I don't care. We're being creative. We are enjoying ourselves. We're doing our art. I've said it before in interviews many times. I don't make the film for you or anyone else. I make it for me, and if you enjoy it as well, then it's an added bonus.
Most few movies have gay characters in them, and I know that you do a lot of, you gear it towards the GLBT community, but the gay characters aren't always the most, what's the word?
Stereotypical.
That likable.
Neither of most gay people I've met. Oh, that was controversial.
Is that something that you do on purpose, or is it just come out of the story?
Well, I don't know, Scott. I don't know how many of the films you've seen now, but you tell me who wasn't likable. You did the sigh in there, like, where do I begin?
Well, certainly your character in Boys Behind Bars wasn't very likable.
Did you not like him completely?
He's like Ted Bundy. He's charismatic, but you don't necessarily want to have him over for a sleepover.
Oh, right, okay.
and with Twink, he is likable, but there's that edge. There's a dangerous element to him. I mean, these are not your stereotypical gay characters that you find in most movies. I mean, these are not Kurt out of Glee or any of the other airy-fairy gay characters we see.
Oh, where do I begin? I mean, Caden alias Quinn from Twink. We can neither love him or hate him, for he has not really done anything wrong. He's a boy that has lost his mind in the exploitation of working for another man's pocket and been run down by the industry. I don't think we can. Well, and personally, me, the way in which I intended him to be. Obviously, if anyone hates him, then they hate him. But he's. I don't think he's either likable or non-likable. I think there's one word that certainly comes to my mind, and it's just pity. I really pity Quinn, and he's lost his mind. It's the same thing about the argument of putting a mentally ill person to death. How can you really make your mind up about Quinn? Because Quinn is not Quinn, nor is he Caden Daydream. He's floating around there in the atmosphere somewhere. He has lost his mind. His mental health is on the floor, and he's not well. And so I think that makes him hard to either like or dislike. As far as Daryl's concerned, I would hope. No, actually, I mean, there's been a very positive response to Daryl, so I can only think the word love to hate might come to mind. But I must admit, Daryl is without a doubt 1,000,000% my favourite character to play of all the characters I played. He is fucking wonderful to play, an absolute honour.
Really do let go with Daryl. I've seen both Boys Behind Bars, and he's one of those characters that you love to hate. And I brought that up because making a character that is flawed and having somebody try and stay behind them and support them through 60 minutes or 90 minutes or 2 hours, that's not necessarily easy to do. And I think for the most part you've managed to do that. Particularly with Daryl, but there are just sometimes, particularly towards the end of the first Boys Behind Bars, you just when he turns, you're just kind of shocked because you don't expect that out of him.
Turned in. Sorry, what was?
Oh, when he starts beating up the new prisoner, because up to that point, you think that Daryl is pretty much just kind of mouthy, if nothing else. Yeah. But you don't really see the kind of behavior that would warrant him being in jail. And then when he shows that side of him, it's shocking.
I think with I think with Daryl, as the series goes on, and obviously we'll leave Boys 2 for a minute. I mean, just from the first one, we got a very slow introduction to Daryl, fun Daryl. Daryl is the master of manipulation, highly manipulative. I mean, there's been elements throughout Boys 2, and Boys 3 is about to film, and we've got all the plans for Boys 3, and I know exactly what I'm doing at that. Daryl it's a power struggle, it's a mind game, and he's highly manipulative. And so the fact of the matter is, I think straight away when we compare Boys 1 and Boys 2, I think the difference is with Boys 1, Lanx's presence. Daryl very much still wants to be power, but Lanx can take him on. Therefore, he wants to be fun with Lanx and keep the relationship sweet. And I think as Boys 1 progress, when Nico gets thrown into the cell and he becomes the meat, because Lanx is willing to go along with that game, Daryl can really let loose because Lanx is on board. And then when we went into Boys 2, Daryl was in his element. He was fearless because he knew he had the ultimate playing card for that game. So therefore, we saw, or I believe, I don't know, you can tell me, but in Boys 2, we saw a Daryl that did not hold back at all and verging on evil personified.
Oh, most definitely. The Daryl that I saw in Boys 2 was definitely not the Daryl that started out in Boys 1. It's almost like he became institutionalized, and that he's actually become part of the machinery within the framework of the prison itself.
Yeah, I mean, Boys 3, where we film next week on the 1st of December, we start filming. The plans so far for that, I mean, Daryl is so far out on this one. I mean, he is every bit as powerful as ever, to the point that he now has his henchmen, which makes him an even more deadly enemy. So I think the Boys 3 is even more. I mean, Boys 3 is twisted. It is to the point. You ain't seen nothing yet from Boys 1 and 2. I mean, Boys 3 is completely in your face, and Daryl is. He might as well have been pissing about in Boys 2, because I think it's going to be a real challenge to act, because I don't think we have a lot of that fun Daryl left. Everything has now become a game. And it is all his game, and he decides on which characters are playing and which ones are getting written out the show, so to speak. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, just to add as well, my book comes out December. I think it's the 20th or something. I might be wrong. I can't remember. But it's Tales from the Boys Behind Bars. And a lot of the characters that you've seen in the films are included in this fictional prison that I've written about. And Daryl, obviously, is in the book, and you will learn an awful lot about him in that book as well.
And will Honeybane be returning for number 3?
Honeybane is in Boys 3, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we had to have Ms. Muncher back. I mean, I absolutely love the character. I mean, she is. Yet again, it will be an interesting development that you guys are left to see between Ms. Muncher and Daryl, because obviously it's we need each other to keep this game sweet, but actually it's just a power struggle between the two of them. Daryl has things that Ms. Muncher doesn't have, and Ms. Muncher has things that Daryl doesn't have, and they can't do it without each other, which is very interesting. So I really hope, and I'm assured that the world will be appalled by Boys Behind Bars 3. We've definitely stepped it up a few notches.
Do you ever worry about going too far?
No.
I knew the answer to that even before I asked it.
Well, me and Jason are brewing. We've got Boys 3, and we're straight away back to back filming a Boys Behind Bars spin-off, which it is so early in its pre-production at the moment and details because of Boys 3 that I'm just not even going to discuss that. But it will be the 4th one, and it will be a spin-off, so it won't be called Boys Behind Bars, but it's very much related. Me and Jason do have an idea coming together, which is actually got to be very vague about it, but it is going to echo the style of Twink. It is going to echo the setup of Twink. with a highly controversial and appalling subject matter, which I think will either make sure we make another film or condemn us to the fiery pits of DVD hell. But either way, Scott, I've got to be really honest now. I've found myself at a place now where I feel once the Boys franchise, to make another two of them is really big on my agenda. Twink is everything I wanted to achieve out of a film. So even if I'd never made another film apart from Twink, I'm happy. I'm personally happy with Twink. So to me now, next year, I just want to let loose and do a couple of things that I really wanted to do. And if it absolutely busts me in two with the general population, then so fucking be it.
Hey, infamy works just as well as fame.
Well, yeah, no, because I don't think it's fame I've got.
It doesn't pay as well, but...
Oh, no, it fucking certainly doesn't.
Well, how do you and Jason work together? Because I know everything that you do is pretty much improvised. Do you come up with the story? Do you have ideas of where you want the story to go, and you work from that, or is it just completely whatever happens in front of the camera?
The two Sex Lies films were written by me. They were scripts, and they were page to page scripts. Like there was really not much room for improvisation. I wrote both those films. Boys 1, 2, One Last Chance at Paradise. They're all totally improv. So will the films that are coming up. Twink is different in as much as there was really no setup. Jason turned the camera on and we fed off of each other. There wasn't even really. None of it was really meant to happen. We really were just making up as we fucking went along. The others, I have a method. I get a piece of A4 paper. I write down every pinpoint of the film and I stick it to a door, and the cast have to read it and make up the dialogue in between. And that's about as far as I go with it, really. So, yeah, in effect, the majority of our films, minus Sex Lies franchise and Twink, yes, it's strict in as much of, yes, there's 6-7 pinpoints here on the paper, and you just have to fill in the dialogue in between them.
And that doesn't seem to be a problem for you.
No, I love it. I love doing it that way. We've spoke about returning to script and me writing another script like I did for Sex Eyes, but I'm really not interested in it. It kills the whole fun and the whole freedom of it. If Boys Behind Bars had been written, it would have been shitter than it is. Sorry. It would have been. It would have been so contrived and staged and horrible. The great thing about Boys is it is every time a selection of cast members letting their inner demons free because they finally got a chance to be vile.
One of the things that I talk about, outline a novel or not, and I'm one of those that I don't like to outline. I don't think I've really ever outlined anything, because for me, just like you were talking about with your movies, it destroys the spontaneity. If I know what's going to happen because I've planned it out, then pretty much the reader's going to know what happened. But if I don't know what the fuck is going to go on, then the reader won't, and that's exactly what I want. You want to keep somebody on edge and make them wonder what is going to happen next. But I would imagine that's a little bit harder to do in film.
I don't know. I really think it's very important. Necessarily it's not that important how well you cast act in that, unless you want, unless you're going for BAFTA winning performance. But it is important, more important than acting skills. It's more important that those cast get on and they really feel comfortable with each other. It's, as I say, even at times in the past, I think my acting has probably been hit and miss. But I was having fucking fun all the same.
I know, and we talked about this on the Supernauts, but I want to ask if you've had any success in trying to find a venue of doing it live.
Nope, still no. Every time they go, okay, and what is the performance? And they're like, oh my God. I so want to do it. It's on the bucket list. Like, seriously. If I don't get to do that, I'll be gutted. But I think we're going to get to the point now where I'm going to have to get someone, as I do with the film, is going to have to get someone with a bit of backstreet big pub venue atmosphere type to close for the evening and open it up as a venue, and we'll do a makeshift stage and a makeshift audience with a bar. Which I kind of like how rogue that is, like the films, but yeah, again, it's just finding someone that will do that in an area that's easy to get to. But I really want to film it. I really want to be able to show people the stage version, because I've had sort of lots of other ideas about what I'd like to incorporate in the stage version. I mean, that's the good thing about seeing it on film. I still completely intend to ad-lib it, but you know, I'd be interested to see how it rolls out on stage, really.
Have you done stage work before?
Like when I was a child, if the Christmas Nativity play is
Did you
anything to
play
go
Baby
by.
Jesus?
Unfortunately not. I think I played some hideously Camp Angel. So yeah, no, and it was in a church as well. It was really quite awful, actually. If someone had someone in the local parish had decided to do their own spin on the nativity play, it was really quite interesting.
It would probably be something more along the lines of Life of Brian.
It was yeah, it was different. But I mean, no, I mean, I hate stage work, to be fair to you. But Twink, even when I bring it to the stage, it's not going to be a theatre show. I don't see it that way. I've really got zilch interest in the stage, but there was something about the atmosphere of bringing Twink to a live audience.
Well, I think it lends itself to a live performance, and the first time I saw it, that was actually one of the first things that I thought was this would make a great stage show. I mean, my first writings were plays, and so that's where I started my career. Was in theater.
Yep.
And it just, because it's really just the one set, and two people, and you don't even have to spend that much on the scenery and the props, and it would be perfect. And I hope you find somebody that will let you do that. And because one of the things that's surprising me about Twink is how it's being getting some positive feedback from straight people, straight community. I know my co-hosts on the Supernauts have seen it. Abe has the DVD, and they were quite taken with it. They really.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, well, no, I can't comment on that really. I don't know why that would be, but I just, that's great as well, because even heterosexual people can enjoy it and can apply it to the exploitation of young women in heterosexual pornography.
And that really is the point of Twink. I mean, that's something that I know that you're very passionate about, the preventing the exploitation of minors and youth.
Yes, absolutely. It appalls me. It's I'm as I spend a lot of time on Twitter. I put in a lot of time speaking to people on there as well. I'm quite vocal with Twitter. And I mean, I've got all these, and I follow everybody back. I haven't got a problem with doing so, but I've got all these young men that I see around and being retweeted by other people stood in the mirror with their cock out or something. And I really quite horrified and unsettled by it, to be honest. And the older guys, and when I say old, I'm not being stereotypical and saying 40 or 50. What I'm saying is people in their mid to late 20s and up, right up until 80, 90, whatever you are, and if you're lucky enough to be beyond that, going, oh yes, great cock, sexy, I'd love to fuck you. Really keeping them going, admiring, buying them stuff off of Amazon. It's no different to coercing someone if you were, trying to bribe someone into meeting up with you or something, or you wanted to sexually exploit someone. Just because you're hiding behind your computer and doing it doesn't make you any less guilty. And yet again, already I've done some interviews and everything like that, and I've had some contacts, and I've even got a lot of friends that are porn stars, and I haven't got a problem with that. They're men in their mid-20s, they made a choice, they're treated fairly, they're not being exploited, they're making a living and being paid. That's not for me to question, and people are getting very confused about what I'm saying in interviews. They're saying that I've got something against porn stars and blah, 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 la, la. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is 17-year-old boy turns 18 is promoted the glitz and glamour, and actually what they need is people's admiration. And it's, let's face it, if the mainstream fame fails, then get your cock out and get a fan base. And I, there's adverts going around Twitter, accounts from some of the biggest studios promoting people to earn money from fucking and to earn money from taking their clothes off, get paid to fuck. And I just couldn't believe when I see things like that, coercing young men into doing that, make it glorifying that getting paid to fuck is something that's really awesome. No, what's really awesome is going out there and changing something for people, being a leader of something and being yourself and meeting your ambitions. Okay, if your ambition is to be a porn star, then crack on. I haven't got a problem with that. All I'm saying is the coercion of young people into exploitation the minute their little baby ass turns 18, that I condemn completely.
Do you think that's a fault that lies within the gay community that well, I shouldn't say we, but the gay community tends to value youth and looks over anything else?
Yeah, again, it's something I'm big on as well. I mean, many people have argued this, and, oh, but what about boys behind bars? And I go, what the fuck about boys behind bars? What about it? And they said, oh, it was very sexual. I said, but it wasn't sexual, was it? And oh, there's the boys behind bars too, the bonking in the cubicle scene. It's not real. It's not real in the slightest. And it was two actors making a decision to do that scene. We were not exploited or vulnerable in any way, shape, or form because it wasn't happening. Yet again, with a lot of the films I grew up liking and a lot of the films I'm making, I like sexual expression, and I find sex a very interesting topic, and I write erotica, and that's fine. I'm of an age in my, near mid-20s where I can decide what I want to do, but I still haven't got to the point where I'm getting paid to fuck, and so it just infuriates me, and I can't even remember what your original question was. Go again. I'm ranting.
No, I just was wondering, how much of the fault lies within the gay community for, really making the Twink sites in particular so popular and focusing strictly on youth and beauty.
And my key word, mostly through my social commentary of poetry, is it does not last forever. That is the idea of Twink. I repeat, in that film, his hair was no longer blonde. He wasn't fat, but let's face it, he wasn't the image of a Twink. I remember once when the publicity posters first went out for Twink, and someone tweeted me, and they said, well, you're hardly a Twink, you're too fat. And I said, okay, I haven't got a toned body, but I'm not fat. And I said, B, you've just done exactly what I wanted you to do. You've clearly not even read the synopsis. The point was, he wasn't that person anymore, and because he wasn't that idea of what turns the gay community on, he was no longer needed, retired, expired, no longer desired, and that was the point of it, and it's the same thing. I'm in a category with all these people, I look at, sometimes I go onto Amazon just to check on business or whatever, and I see all these films that, in the section, people that bought this film, and I look, and I'm so proud, and I'm not saying my films are wonderful masterpieces. Oh my God, to some people they're going to be horrendous. But I'm so proud that when our film sits there in that related category, next to it is Boy Meets Boy, Twink Fucks Twink, big famous porn star turned trying to be an actor, on the front cover with most of their clothes off, buy it because he's got a six-pack, all this false shit. And I'm quite happy to be there with a little bit of wobble on my chest, and a little bit extra on the sides. And to be honest, higher than anything, I'm proud that I've managed to, maybe not in the same volume as other films have, but I'm still here and I'm still releasing films, even though I am not the image of the LGBT's Twink. And that makes me very happy because that's what we need. I am not going to go and start working out and wasting my time because I don't fucking like exercise and I really like eating. So I'm not going to start working out and give up smoking and blah 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 just so I can get really in shape, so I can sell more DVDs for another cunt that wants to make money off of me, and so people can put their picture all over my website to get views for their blogs. I'm not going to change me to make everybody else happy and make their business. And this is the mistake. And, it's the mistake of the LGBT. LGBT film and music has given in to the stereotype. It's only recently I see these young emerging indie musicians that are gay. They can no longer just be a musician on their Twitter profile or on their Facebook fan page or whatever. They are no longer a musician. They are a gay musician. And their album cover is with their top off and their bleach blonde hair all swept back in a lovely style. Since when did it matter what you look like to make music? Mama Cass was great.
Do you think that has just a lot to do with everything being online and everybody being so overexposed? I mean, you can't go through Twitter or Facebook or anything else without seeing, selfies, up the ass.
Well, yeah, what's with that?
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with a good selfie. Yeah, it seems, and you're right, whether it's music or porn or gay community or whatever, there's an over-reliance on being young and pretty. And it seems to me that's just a lack of self-confidence on people. That if they were more comfortable with themselves, they may not be as interested in trying to reclaim what they never had in the first place.
It's all got very, it's all really interesting, and I just stick by what I set out to do. As we've spoke about before, Scott, I love my grindhouse. I love my exploitation / sexploitation. I ain't got a problem with that. They're still not fucking each other. And I love all those things, and I still want to bring back a dead genre to the LGBT, and I think we're really working towards doing that. Art house, exploitation, grindhouse, retro, love it. And we will continue to do that. We will not be pressured under the mounting pressure for me to go to the gym or for us to start making some more boy next door dramas. Not going to happen. The day people ask me to compromise myself is the day I'm happy to give up, because I'm very happy with the existence I have. I'm very comfortable with my life outside of film as well, and that's where we were talking about earlier. I said towards next summer, I am undertaking a very daring, and in some people's eyes, this is going to be an absolutely depraved project. But I've got no fear whether that makes or breaks it anymore. I have really been fortunate and blessed to set out to do the things that I've enjoyed doing. And as I say, I love boys and I want to keep going with boys behind bars. But Twink, to me, I'm so very happy with. And, the other films are hit and miss to me. I mean, a few of them I don't even like very much that we've made. And I'm always my world's biggest judge. But Twink, I'm just happy with. That one's fine by me. So yeah, people have got to learn to be comfortable with themselves and not buckle under the pressure of distributors, fans, an industry that expects them to be a certain way. And the LGBT must and will fight back. And we have emerging young talents, book writers, filmmakers, actors, musicians that are going to be growing up now, watching people like myself, other gay films, reading people like your book, Scott, and these young people must be led by example that they can be themselves and be free without feeling the pressure to have to sell 1 million to fulfill their own ego. My sales records I've been very lucky with, but I'm probably a hell of a lot lower than many other people in my field. That does not bother me because the people that bought were the people that listened.
I was looking at comments on your Facebook page once, and it was maybe a couple of weeks ago, and there was a gentleman who had made a comment that he had followed you because he thought you were cute, and I kind of see that with some others. And does it bother you that people follow you first because you're cute, and then may or may not get into your work?
The word cute ultimately bothers me anyway. It's disgraceful. I think. What do I think? Uh, I would like to think that people, whatever their reason for following, whether it be X, Y, or Z, would, as a human being, give themselves the opportunity to see their false perception and maybe look deeper. There's obviously a long history of everyone assumes I'm a porn star at first. That's a long running joke, especially between me and Jason and my friends of mine, and that as well. Most of my followers email me first off and ask me what porn films I've been in. Um, it's been going on for absolutely ever, still weekly, every week. Oh, boys behind bars, all Twink. I can see where the issue lies, but oh, I can't wait to see that. I just suck it up now. I mean, it's kind of it's a myth, really. And even I've had interviews where they've said, before you got into acting, what porn films you've been in, where can we see them? I'm like, what the fuck? So yeah, it just carries on and on and on and on and on.
Well, let's go ahead and put the nail in that coffin. Wade Radford has never done porn. Don't ask him.
Not.
He hasn't done it.
No, and it's just, and some people are defiant, and like you tell them and you say, like I've never done it, and they're like, oh come on, you've definitely done it, Lala. I'm like, oh no, because I shouldn't know, whether I've received a large packet up the arsehole. I think I'd be the first person to know about it. And now I kind of just sup it up because I just kind of amuse myself when someone asks me now. I just come out with something, and sometimes even for the fun of it, I just make up a porn film I've been in, and then they toddle off to Google to have a look, and it's not there. That's on days when I really haven't got enough to be doing.
You do have a really good rapport with your fans, and you really spend a lot of time on Twitter and Facebook and interacting with them. How you think that really helps with getting your work out and having people see it?
As obnoxious as this may sound, a lot of people have, a lot of people. Well, I say a lot of people. That really does sound obnoxious. Some people, tweet, well, PM me on Twitter or message me on Facebook, and they say, "Hey, how are you?" And then they, I've said this so many times. They come back and they say, "Oh, wow, you actually replied." And then, all the time I say, "Well, why wouldn't I have replied?" When they first speak to me, and they go, "Oh, most don't." And I say, well, I am a human being. You are a human being. You've been kind enough to send me a message to say hello and inquire how I am. Why the hell would I not reply? Only a rude arsehole would do that. That really, when I see other people on their Twitter accounts and they just sup it all up, sup it up, and never give anything back. That annoys me because, the small following I'm very blessed to have, they make me. Without them, my work does not continue to be commissioned. It's a no-brainer, really, isn't it, Scott? That people should give back and speak to their fans. And actually, I consider a lot of people that have followed me and my films for a long time, I consider them friends. I mean, you've been on my Facebook for quite a while, and the people that are on my Facebook as opposed to my Twitter, the ones that have actually then gone to Facebook to add me as a friend, they're like the real deal. They are, they're the ones that are really behind me. Forget the ones on Twitter. The ones on Facebook are the ones that have been there since the beginning. They're on it. They're on every new thing I have, and they are wonderful. I know most of them by name, and when I see them on my news feed, I can remember something about them.
So you think Facebook has had more of a positive influence on your career than Twitter?
Well, no, Twitter has obviously been the sales tool, but Facebook has been the personal tool.
You just had a book come out last month, was it?
Yeah.
You want to talk about that one?
Oh, yes. My bestseller. Master Crotch and the Sex-Hungry Human Minions. I really haven't plugged it, and I really haven't even looked at it. It's not selling. Of course it's not. It's not erotica. Don't be silly. Poetry probably died with Edgar Allan Poe. And other such alike. It's a poetry book, and it's got shitloads of poems in it that I wrote. There's the pitch. Done. Dragons den me.
Well, I think maybe that kind of shows a different side of you. I, you're this indie filmmaker, kind of like a guerrilla filmmaker that I referred to you as in my Twink review, and that has like certain connotations to it. So then when you hear that you actually also write poetry, people might be a little bit surprised about that.
Poetry is my oldest art format. I think I spoke to you about it before. So disengaged at school, I carried a notebook with me to every lessons, and teachers knew I wasn't bothered by learning in the lesson, but I also wasn't bothered by disrupting the lesson. As long as I was left at the back of the class and I could sit and write in my journal and not be bothered, and they wouldn't stress me out. And we started off a bit rough, and they'd test me and test my patience, and you need to do this work. And I was like, look, the law states I have to be here. I don't want to be here, but neither do I want to disrupt you in your lesson plan. I just want to be left the fuck alone. So yeah, poetry is an old love of mine. I wrote a lot of the pieces many moons ago, and I love doing it. I mean, the books for the poetry, of course, have not been very successful. However, the poetry sessions on SoundCloud have been absolutely wonderful. A few people have actually emailed and said they found them quite meditational, which is fantastic. And the SoundCloud's a very new venture for me. Obviously, it's got the audio book, the Fuck Me Why Bother podcast, the poetry sessions. But I'm so stunned that it's now had 50,000 listens. That's brilliant.
That's incredible.
I'm really pleased with it. I'm so pleased. And the thing I love about the SoundCloud, a lot of the statistics are coming from, I'm not going to name any countries, but a lot of them are coming from countries that would not be able to receive my work in other formats.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed with the Supernauts podcast, because I like to go in and look at the statistics, and the variety of countries that have listened to at least one of our shows. I mean, it knocks me off on my ass. I mean, South Africa, Pakistan. I mean, who the fuck heard of us in Pakistan?
It's different. I mean, to be honest with you, the reason I chose to release the Sarah Time within an audiobook is I want to give these oppressed countries something they can listen to. I don't give a fuck about the rules people are telling me to do. These people cannot get my work, but actually on Twitter, a lot of these countries that are oppressed, or it's not so much the norm or allowed, they have been highly supportive on Twitter. They are some of my best supporters. They're quite happy just to watch the trailers, online and feedback and watch any clips that go online, or, any of my freebies I give away on the blog, like my writings or anything like that. And how wonderful is that? So if I can give something back in the format of 3.5 hours for someone to explore their sexuality and be who they are, then fuck you, universe. We're going to do that. And no government and no one is going to tell us that we in these liberated countries have to oppress these people further. We will fight, and we will continue to fight, and we will make sure these people can enjoy and explore their own sexualities in their own way, even if it means they can do it for 2 hours once in a blue fucking moon. They can be themselves and indulge themselves a little bit in who they are, because they come from a background of people that want to harm them and oppress them. And I could not imagine living in a society like that. So people in our free societies must also get their head out their arse and give something back to these people, because they cannot get our material. Some places in the world, our material would be a criminal offence. Certainly my material would be a criminal offence. My appearance in some countries in the world would be a criminal offence. And that is a disturbing thought. But if I can never fly to some of these countries, I don't care because of what I choose to do. I fully intend, as time goes by, to release more of my books on audiobook format for free. I didn't do it for the United States of America. I didn't do it for Europe. I did it for these people so they could be themselves for a while and enjoy some of my work because they've given me so much joy back on Twitter.
Wow, that's really powerful. I think that might be a good place to stop.
Yeah.
That's a very good note to end on. Wade, as always, it's a pleasure talking to you, and certainly we'll be having you back on. Like there's anybody else, it's just me. I'll have you back. I'll be glad to have you back on anytime.
It's always lovely. It's always a pleasure, and I really enjoy it every time we speak. So yeah, I'd be absolutely pleased to come back again. And good luck with the podcast. I've really enjoyed the Supernauts, and I think this new podcast is a really good idea. And I think what you're doing for the indie world and giving people a platform to air their work on is just wonderful. And we must continue to invest, even if it's just our time, in others that are looking to get out there and be real and give the world something real. So, kudos for that. I really love that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'd like to thank Wade once again for coming on. And as usual, you'll find links to Wade's work as well as the social media on our website at thesupernauts.com. So please friend him on Twitter and friend him on Facebook and support all the indie artists. And join us in 2 weeks for the next episode. And I also want to say, go ahead and check out Wade's episode on the Supernauts. He's on episode 3. And we also have a contest going on with the Supernauts. Go on to our website. Tell us what your favorite episode was and why. And the 5 best responses will receive a promo code for my audiobook for Barbed Wire Kisses, as well as an ebook of the same, not to mention my mini collection Detritus, as well as the John Waters collection and the Films of David Cronenberg collection.
Scott, as well, just to butt in there a minute, as well as your wonderful giveaways, count me in on throwing in a copy of Boys Behind Bars 2 on special edition DVD.
Absolutely. And that comes out when?
Nope, it doesn't matter when it comes out. I've got a copy here, and I'll throw that in with your goodies.
Okay, fantastic. And the contest will be open until midnight on December 23rd, and winners will be announced on Christmas Eve. I want to thank everybody for listening, and have a good afternoon.